Hello and welcome to Fast Horses Today. Today is Sunday. It is May 24th, and Santa Anita is in the midst of their marathon 4-day race week. It is a marathon for them for the holiday race weekend. So today's Sunday with their Sunday card. They do have racing, of course, on Memorial Day. Looks like they've got some bigger races there on the Monday card they put together. But let's talk about some of the races on Sunday, May 24th. So in studying the card today for Sunday, I find it to be kind of a light card, and I don't know if the multi-race wagers are all that bettable today, so I'm not going to really get into those. But I do have a couple win bets that I want to make later in the card over at Santa Anita. So we're going to skip over the first many races. We're going to go over to the 8th race of the day. 8th race has an approximate post time about 4:30 Pacific, so that's 6:30 here in the Central Time Zone. The 8th race is a maiden $20,000 claiming race. These are open horses here, open company, 3-year-olds and up. They're going a mile on the dirt. I've got a horse I'm going to make a win bet on, that being the 3 horse, who is Why Not Another One. Why Not Another One comes in for the Bob Hess barn. Couple changes here with this horse. They're going blinkers off. Now, this horse hasn't run since late February, so he's given a bit of a break here. He's going down the class ladder. This horse in his career had been running with maiden special weights, where it's going to be considerably a lot better than the company he's facing today. You know, they tried one of those restricted maiden races, which are for horses that don't meet the auction price, or they would put him in for a claim. Now, this horse, certainly fit into that category because he was purchased for $55,000, so he fit into that. He was not in for a claim, but he ended up showing some speed in a sprint race. I thought that was a tough race. That was won by Sharon's Beach, and Sharon's Beach and Dreaming On really put on a show that day. Why Not Another One showed a lot of speed in that race, and showed some pretty high speed, going 22:44 before giving it up. I think if the horse shows speed in this kind of race here, in these $20,000 claiming race level races, speed usually is pretty good even when they're going a mile. Horses get out and just kind of get on the lead and relax, and just a lot of that field really can't catch these horses, as we see. So I'm expecting Armando Ayuso to get to the lead and just kind of dog walk this field and come in and hit the line first at a pretty good price. This horse is 5-2 in the program. I'm going to expect we'll see that. I like the way Ayuso's been riding. Ayuso had a pretty nice day on Saturday on California Gold Rush Day. So we'll see if he can keep that going, here on Sunday. So we're going to go with the win bet on the 3 horse. Why Not Another One in the 8th race. So we're going to move over to the last race of the day, that being the 9th race of the day at Santa Anita. That has an approximate post time about 5 o'clock Pacific, so that's 7 o'clock here in the evening in the Central Time Zone. They're going a mile on the grass, 2-turn grass race here. These are starter allowance horses here for fillies, and this is like your traditional starter allowance, which I've seen for decades here in the Midwest, where it's horses who have started for $16,000 or less and 25, 26. The only difference they don't seem to do here in California is they don't handicap them, by weight. So they just go 3-year-olds, 120 pounds, older, 126. So I take it they don't really write these races as handicaps anymore. They want to fill these races, but it is your true starter allowance race where you've got horses who have won, could be an infinite amount of races. But anyway, I've got a horse I'm going to make a win bet here on, that being the 7 horse. The 7 horse is Syntax for Labrado Baraccio and Juan Hernandez. And we're going to talk about Hernandez momentarily. But Baraccio claimed this horse off of Edward Freeman back in early April. That was off a win in a $10,000 claiming race. Now, this Calbred had been running in, had broken her maiden in special weights, had run in a couple allowance races. Edward Freeman saw fit to drop her into 10. She ended up winning that race convincingly with Juan Hernandez aboard and got claimed by Baraccio. Now, Baraccio moved the horse right back up into California allowance races. I don't think she ran poorly. I thought she ran a pretty decent race. Now, those were 2 dirt races. She's going back onto the turf, which she has run on the turf before. Now, I think it's tough to say that she likes the turf, doesn't like the turf. She's had 2 starts. She had 1 good effort, 1 not so good effort. I think she's dipping in here in class with some of these horses here, and she's 5-1 in the program. To me, it looks like Juan Hernandez probably has the speed to get out and go and probably lead this field the whole way. And here's what I'm thinking could happen here. Now, Hernandez, they mentioned yesterday in the TV coverage that he was on his, I think it was 29 199 victories, so he's sitting on his 3,000 victory. He's only got a couple rides here on Sunday. I think that he can close the day with a momentous ride, momentous win, and a pretty monumental feat, getting 3,000 wins. That's a lot of wins for a jock, for a career. I know Juan Hernandez is, a pretty young guy, so he's got a lot of years to ride and probably a lot more wins to have, probably several thousand more. But I'm going to see if Juan Hernandez can get his 3,000th victory here on the 7-horse Syntax. And so we're going to make the win bet in the 9th race on Syntax. All right, now let's recap the day and recap the bets. Okay, so for Sunday, being May 24th, we've got a couple win bets over at Santa Anita, the Great Race Place. And these win bets will be coming in at the end of the card. We're going to go in the 8th race, making a win bet on the 3. Why not another 1? We'll go to the 9th race and bet the 7. That's Syntax. So we're going to make those 2 win bets today. Those 2 races do fall in that late pick 5, in the late pick 3. If you feel like making some multi-race wagers, you want to include those, I wish you the best of luck. I'm just going to make the win bets. Whatever you decide to do, I wish you the best of luck today. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a very safe day of racing on their Sunday card during this holiday weekend. Let's wish ourselves some good trips. As we know, that can make the difference between winning and losing, so let's hope we can get some good trips there. So let's try to close out this Sunday with a couple nice wins at Santa Anita. If you haven't done so, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, it just delivers the content to you. Make comments, make good comments, make bad comments. Let's create a discussion. I definitely welcome that. So I thank you so much for watching Fast Horses today and listening to the picks. So again, let's close out this Sunday with a couple wins at the end of the card. And we will see you for more coverage for the Memorial Day holiday card over at Santa Anita, the Great Race Place, where they've got some graded stakes. We'll see what we can get out of there. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful Sunday.